Hi folks, it's Kelvin here. We run Coach for Leeds and surrounding areas as well as online coaching. In this little video, I'm going to share some thoughts on tapering. So let's first talk about what tapering is and what it does, and then I'm going to also share some thoughts on how to practice your taper. So whilst we're training, we are accumulating fitness, but we're also accumulating fatigue. So it is possible to be as fit as you can, as fit as you've ever been, but still not perform your best because you're unable to express that fitness because of the amount of fatigue that you're carrying in training. So the idea of the taper is that we want to maintain as much fitness as possible whilst shedding as much fatigue as possible. And if this is done in an appropriate way, it will give us on average about a 3% gain on race day, which is certainly not insignificant. So the idea is, depending on the event distance, we might taper for about 7 days for a 10K, about 10 to 12 days for a half marathon, and 2 weeks for maybe a marathon or an ultra. And the idea is in these time frames, we decrease training load whilst maintaining fitness. So we're not trying to drive more fitness. The focus is on shedding fatigue. With the runners that I work with and myself, I like to practice the taper between 2 and 3 times in training. So on maybe 3 key workouts, so some of the runners' bigger workouts or my own workouts, I will have a relatively soft week, and then I will do a taper week, like an event week, with exactly the same tempo that I'm going to do on race day, and then I'll roll into a particularly hard effort. And this gives me a little bit of a chance to experiment with things and see how I feel. And then when it comes to race week or a couple of weeks out from the race, we've got some familiarity with how a taper feels, because we don't always feel amazing in tapers. The body does slightly strange things when it's used to, heavier training blocks, carrying that fatigue, and then all of a sudden it's got an element of freshness. There's maybe some race day nerves coming into the equation. So being familiar with that can give confidence on race day. So I'm going to do another video on a little bit more about what to do in a taper and how that varies for different events, from maybe 5K up to ultramarathon. So that covers most things that most runners do. In a separate video, we'll cover that. So if you've got any questions or anything that you'd like me to add into that video, please let me know in the comments below. And for now, happy running.